Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for the Battleship, New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today, we're going to talk about education in the Navy. We're standing in the ship's reference library, which is full of manuals, reference books, and ratings books like this one that sailors would have to study in order to get promoted. Most of these manuals are for enlisted personnel advancing through their ratings. Now, when you go in the Navy, you have a rank, which is basically your pay level and who you're in charge of and who's in charge of you, and you have a rating, and that's your job, fairly equivalent to your trade, what you would learn in trade schools. So when you go into the Navy, you go through basic training or boot camp, and after that, you go to an A school. That's where you're going to learn all the things relating to the rating that is assigned to you. So for example, being an electrician's mate, which is similar to an electrician on shoreside, except you don't ground anything on a ship. So, as you advance in your career through years of experience doing it on board a ship, through studying the manuals, you're able to test and get promoted from an electrician's mate 3rd class to 2nd class, 1st class, and eventually, if you stay in long enough, you become a chief electrician's mate. Now we're in the electronic technician's berthing space. It's one of several berthing compartments on the ship, and this is one we still use today for encampment berthing. We're going to be starting up encampments again shortly, so make sure you check our website and sign up for them. This is what enlisted berthing looks like, and in the ship's current configuration, as she would have looked during her final deployment in 1990, there is berthing on board for about 1,300 sailors, mostly in these triple-stacked coffin racks like you see behind me. By the 1980s, not all training was done by book learning. You could also come to this space, the ship's television studio, or the ship's library, and check out Betamax tapes of Navy training videos. This way, sailors wouldn't have to be flown off of the ship to go to training schools and then brought back later. We are in the ship's television studio, which was added in the 1980s and which was recently added back to the ship's tour route. So if you haven't been on board for a while, be sure to come back and check out this new space. Now that we've talked about enlisted berthing and education on the ship, we're in the officer's wardroom. One of our frequently asked questions is, what's the difference between officer and crew? What do officers do? So this space would normally be off limits to enlisted men, and it would just be for the officers. Officers are the ones who run the ship. They're in charge of different departments, and many of them were in the chain of command to take over if something happens to the captain. I like to use the school analogy when I'm talking about officers. So you've got the captain, who is the principal of the school. They're the ones in charge and responsible if anything goes wrong. Then you've got the executive officer. He's like the vice principal, who in my high school was in charge of discipline. Same thing on the ship. You've got your teachers, the other officers, the department heads. They're in charge of different classes. And then each class on the ship, the gunnery division or the supply division, they have an officer, and then they have a bunch of enlisted guys, the students, who are led by senior enlisted, your high school seniors or your 8th graders, the guys who have been here for a while and know how it's done, and your junior enlisted guys, who are your underclassmen or your kindergartners who have just started out. We've seen enlisted berthing. This is what a senior officer would get on the ship. A lot more privacy. To be an officer, usually that entails having a college degree, being better educated than an enlisted guy. Many enlisted service members would be straight out of high school, while officers would either go to the Naval Academy for their college classes, or oftentimes they'd go to a college officer candidate program such as ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps, or after completing college, they would take an officer candidate course to join the Navy. And that's their version of basic training or boot camp, and it teaches them less individual skills to be an electrician and more how to lead people, which is what their job really is. If you're interested in continuing your education on board the Battleship, maybe you want to check out one of our reference books, our manuals, blueprints, or some of our other archival documents. Contact me at curator@battleshipnewjersey.org to set that up. If you're interested in an internship on the Battleship, we're hiring paid high school interns starting next month in September, so be sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter to get more information about that, or check our website, battleshipnewjersey.org. Or college interns, we're looking for help in the curatorial and education department with either our oral histories or our collections management. Tune in next week, and remember to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.